Hey everyone, Myets here. Welcome back to another episode in this series where I rank and review every single Pokemon series. Now, if you haven't checked out the previous episodes in this series, you should go check those out. If you've already seen them or you just don't care, welcome, and let's go check out the number 3 spot, which is... Yup, Diamond and Pearl. Now, I'm going to be honest, it was actually kind of hard to choose between this and what was going to be in second place, because to me, they're both actually pretty equal. But I feel there's some things which just cause it to be a little bit lower compared to what's in the second place. But, you know, before I talk about stuff like that, I just want to talk about how great this series is. First, we should talk about all of the characters. Ash, he's no longer cocky like how he was in the Ruby and Sapphire series, so that's great. Brock is still Brock. That's also great. Dawn's a great character. Also, you know, Paul is definitely in Ash's top 3 when it comes to the best rivals because, you know, he works so well as an antithesis to Ash. And also the fact that, you know, he's just as experienced as Ash since he's gone through all 4 regions just like him. And he just really works well as a rival for Ash. And also, pretty much like all the rivals in this show are great because, you know, I didn't really talk about this in the other series, but, you know, I feel like this is one where it has just so many great rivals. Because, you know, there are some shows that have pretty good rivals, but here consistently all of the rivals in the show are good. Also, you know, Cynthia's a great character because, you know, instead of how it was in the previous series, they actually had Cynthia play a way more important role, you know, actually existing for more than just one episode, which was good. Also, you know, Team Rocket entertaining as usual, so, you know, that's great. And of course, Ash's Pokemon. You had great Pokemon like Infernape, Staraptor, Buizel, and Infernape especially has a really great story arc. And there is one Pokemon where I don't like what they did with it, but I'll talk about that later. But yeah, but when it comes to like the main characters, this show is just great with that. And also, come on, I can't be the only one who loves it when they bring back previous characters, like how in this series they brought back both May and Gary, because come on, the stuff like that's just great. Also, the story arcs in this show were great, like the camping story arc, or the story arc where they go back to meet Brandon from the Battle Frontier, or the Team Galactic storyline, and especially the Sinnoh League arc, because that's definitely one of the best arcs of the entire show, with just all of the great fights that are in there. Also, Looker was introduced in this series, and it's a crime we haven't seen him since Black and White, since, you know, the character of Looker's a really interesting concept. Now, you see me singing all these praises about the show, and you're probably wondering, when am I going to talk about the problems? Well, here we go. Now, I'm going to just start with 2 things that, you know, I didn't enjoy. The first one is what they did to Ambipom, because, man, that is just possibly the worst way I've seen a Pokemon leave the show, period. Like, that's worse than Pidgeot. And Pidgeot, he just straight up forgot about him. Basically what happens is Ash and Dawn trade their Apom and Buizel. So pretty much Apom joins with Dawn. And then all of a sudden, there's like, what, like table tennis arc or something? I don't really remember. Pretty much like they see that Ambipom, which is evolved at this point, is very talented. So they go with this group of people that do table tennis stuff or whatever, and Ambipom is never heard from again. Like, Diamond and Pearl started with Ash leaving with Pikachu and Apom. Apom was important enough to still be with Ash into Diamond and Pearl, even though it was a Ruby and Sapphire Pokemon. And it just leaves like that. Like, how? The second part is a complaint literally anybody who's seen Diamond and Pearl has had, and that's Tobias. It's just, what were they thinking with this character? Like, you could not make a worse idea for how Ash could lose a Pokemon League. Like, Tobias just shows up in the beginning of the Pokemon League, and he has a Darkrai. And then he proceeds to have, in the next battle, when his Darkrai actually goes down, he has a Latios. So, you know, it's implied he has a full team of legendary Pokemon, which is so absurd. Because, like, Ash losing is not that bad of a thing, but you have to do it right. And man, this is just such a disappointing way for Ash to lose the Sinnoh League, because it was pretty much physically impossible for him to actually win because of just how broken Tobias's team is. Although I will say, Sceptile getting that win against Darkrai was cool. And also, that was a cool scene with Pikachu defeating Latios, even if it did take itself out with it. But yeah, Tobias is absolutely garbage. Now, those things I just talked about, they aren't major problems. They're just some things I didn't like. But this is just something else. It's on a different level. The pacing of this show. Like, that is probably the one thing that keeps this at the number 3 spot and not at number 2. And it's just the fact that the pacing for this show is really slow. Because let's see here. Kanto, it was one really long season. Johto, 3 seasons. Hoenn, 3 seasons. The 4th one doesn't count because that was Battle Frontier. Unova, 3 seasons. Kalos, 3 seasons. Alola, 3 seasons. All of them are, at maximum 3 seasons. And if they had a 4th season, it wasn't going to be continuing the gym challenge. That was Battle Frontier in the Advanced Series. But Diamond and Pearl has 4 seasons going through Sinnoh. And that means it moves at an extremely slow pace. To the point that between the 7th and 8th gym battle, it took a full year for that to happen. Like, in Japan, the episode where the 7th gym battle took place, it aired in May of 2009. The episode where the 8th gym battle took place happened in June 2010. That was a full year where no gym battles happened. Obviously, there was stuff that happened in between, but still, a full year. That's a problem. And this show is great, but it would definitely be not remembered as well if the Sinnoh League hadn't been so great. Because that really distracts you from the really poor pacing this has. And while for me, that isn't as much as a problem, it will be a huge detractor for some people. So yeah, the pacing in this show is just yikes. But even then, I'd still recommend this show. Seeing some of the development in the show is really great to watch. It also just has some great battles, such as, like I mentioned before, Ash vs. Tobias. Even though I don't like Tobias as a character, the battle's still really cool. And also pretty much any fight between Ash and Paul. That's also great. And a bunch of others which aren't coming to my mind right now. So yeah, while there are a couple flaws with this show, it's still definitely really high tier Pokemon. And I would 100% recommend it to someone who's a fan of Pokemon. So yeah, pretty much in conclusion, Diamond and Pearl is great. So yeah guys, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. And if you did enjoy this video, go check out some of my other content. And if you really enjoyed this video, subscribe. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next one as the journey continues.